Hello, today I am going to the island of Kizhi. Kizhi means moss in the local dialect. They named the island this because the local inhabitants originally used moss to cover their houses. You can only access this island by water, and there are two boats called the Meteor and the Comet. They're very speedy boats, and we will be going to get one right now. The tickets cost 4,800 rubles, which is about $50. I hope you will come along and enjoy the sights with me today. Now I'm standing on the pier and walking to berth 3. The weather is wonderful, the sun is out, it's 24 degrees Celsius. That green ship over there is the Comet. I'm now inside the cabin of the hydrofoil high-speed boat. There are 3 compartments here. You can take any seat. I chose to sit in the tail section. Here I am on the island. We are walking along a wooden pathway to the entrance of the museum. Kizhi has long not just been the name of the island on Lake Inigo, but a synonym for the unique beauty that Russian architects managed to create from wood. The Transfiguration and Pokrovskaya churches sparkling in the northern sun are a symbol of Kizhi and all Russian wooden architecture. Tourists from all over the world come to Karelia to see these monuments, which are included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. The most famous monuments of Kizhi date back to the 18th century, but the history of the island is of course much deeper. People have lived here for over 9,000 years. The Kizhi churchyard was first mentioned in 1563. We will stay on the island for 4 hours, and this will be enough time to see everything. The island is not very large. It has an area of 5 kilometers squared. Here is a map of the island. So we've just got off the special fast boat. I think it's called a hydrofoil or something. It was very, very quick, ripping across the water here. And we have landed on this majestic island. And off in the distance there is Kizhi. I don't know much about this building just yet. I know that it's built entirely out of wood. And the impression, there's something sort of deeply spiritual and calm on this isolated island here in northern Karelia. I've just understood that a lot of the lake systems here are connected to different countries in Europe, and I'm going to try and learn some more about this as we get closer. We are now approaching the famous Transfiguration Church. It is considered the pinnacle of ancient Russian architecture. From the outside, it seems like a fairy tale palace. The Transfiguration Church was built in 1714. There's a legend it was built by the famous carpenter Nestor without using nails. He cut the temple out of wood using a single axe and did not use any fasteners. Upon completion of the work, the master threw the axe into the lake so that no one would repeat his masterpiece. The Church of the Transfiguration of the Lord has 22 chapters. The multi-tiered arrangement of the domes gives the church volume and monumentality. The Transfiguration Church is cut from Karelian pine, and 30,000 aspen plowshares were used to cover the domes. The domes are covered with aspen scales, plowshares. A plowshare is a wooden plate, one of the ends of which is usually pointed. The height of the church is 37 meters. Next to the Transfiguration Church is the Pokrovskaya Church. This church, the intercession of the Holy Virgin, is 32 meters long, 8 meters wide, and 26 meters high. It was founded in 1694, but was partially destroyed by a fire and restored in the 1760s. The silhouettes of the 2 adjacent churches, Pokrovskaya and the Transfiguration Church, harmoniously complete each other and merge into a single architectural composition. The entrance of the church is a large wooden porch. From here, pilgrims and tourists will go up to the vestibule, go to the refectory, and get to the prayer part of the temple. The temple amazes with a special atmosphere. It's very cozy inside. Wooden floors and logs of the church walls are not painted. Natural wood makes the interior warm and authentic. Everything reminds us of the golden rules of carpentry: usefulness, durability, and beauty. The rooms are illuminated by paired windows from the north and south. Since the original
iconostasis has not survived. A new one was specially made during the restoration based on the old iconostasis with herbal ornament painting on a white field. On it you can see recently painted images and rare icons from the 17th and early 18th centuries. Let's listen to the male chant of the Pokrovsky Cathedral. Now we will examine the old peasant houses. This is the house of the family Oshevnev. It was built in 1876 and belongs to the Pers type. The peasant huts of the Russian north are different from the houses that peasants built in central Russia. The reason for this is the long and cold winters, which prompted peasants to place a residential and utility barn under one roof, with the storeroom and workshop, so that they could keep everyone warm. The house itself is a complex, that is, the living quarters and utility rooms are located under one roof, and in a plan that represents a square log house. The entire first floor of the covered courtyard is occupied by a cattle yard, a stable, a forge storeroom, and a staircase to the top. And at the top is a spacious barn, which serves as a hayloft and a place to store all kinds of agricultural and fishing equipment. Many household chores were carried out up here during bad weather and in the cold season. Look at the various tools, and these are the sleds for the winter, and fishing nets are hanging further off. You can see the room is huge. Even here there is a fishing boat. It is interesting to think about what life was like here on a cold winter evening. It must have been peaceful to sit by the fire and read the Bible. Today we are surrounded by plastic and electricity, but oftentimes I think it was more calm to live as people lived hundreds of years ago. From the street there's a ramp, an inclined log platform along which they drove, even on harnessed horses. Such platforms are characteristic features of northern huts. I want to draw your attention to the decorations on the roof, something like wheels with carved patterns. These are amulets. They protect the home from evil spirits. All the work is done with axes. Yes, this lace is made with axes. And this is the forge. A blacksmith is working in it. A village cannot live without a forge. And if the church can be called the receptacle of the soul of the village, then the forge is undoubtedly the heart. The blacksmith's craft has traditionally been a family hereditary one. To become an apprentice to a blacksmith was considered a great success. This craft could feed the family at all times. Inside, near the back wall, there is a furnace with bellows. In the middle of the forge, there is an anvil. By the window, there is a table shelf for tools. In the forge, you can ask the master of the forge for a souvenir as a keepsake, or take a short master class in forging. Next, we will go down to visit the lake and the Russian bathhouse. It usually is always located on the shore of the lake. The peculiarity of baths in the Russian north is that they have a very low entrance, and you often need to bend over to enter. This was done in order to retain heat. The stove in the bathhouse was called the kamenka. First, people steamed themselves, and then they drew hot stones into the water. The water instantly heated up, and they washed themselves. The bathhouses were heated in the winter almost every day, so they did not have time to cool down. -40 in the north is the norm. Women washed clothes and even gave birth to children in the bathhouse. And they washed themselves once a week. The ancient Karelians believed that the evil spirit Bannock lived in the bathhouse, and he must not be disturbed, so they did not go to the bathhouse at night and did not swear there. Now we come to the Chapel of Michael the Archangel. It dates back to the beginning of the 19th century and was originally built in the village of Lelikozero. This is the north of Lake Onigo. The religious building was transported to Kizhi in 1961. This is a typical building of northern Russian architecture with a tent-roofed bell and a canopy. Of interest is the ancient iconostasis of the chapel, dating back to the 17th and 18th centuries. It connects with the ceiling icon of Jesus Christ. The forefathers are located around him, and in the corners you can see images of the evangelists. What luck, now they are demonstrating the ringing of the bells. Let's listen. The locals called Kizhi Island the Golden Bread Island. The land here has been cultivated and tended since ancient times. In Zaoengia, rye cultivation began around the year 1900. For more than 1,000 years in a row, reapers and harvesters went out to the fields of Kizhi Island. Now museum employees are participating in the ethnographic reconstruction Zaoengia Nitva. The famous Kizhi Kalitka will be baked from the harvested rye within a year. Tourists could not only see with their own eyes how they reaped the Zaoengia 2 centuries ago, but they could also hear traditional songs that accompanied the reaping. Songs sung in the field became the soundtrack to this video.
Как же мне быть, счастье служить, служить, нельзя быть веселому, коль зверь не бежит. Как же мне быть, счастье служить, служить, нельзя быть веселому, коль зверь не бежит. Целый день гуляет, если неудача, сам себя ругает. Как же мне быть, да счастье заслужить, служить, нельзя быть веселому, коль зверь не бежит.
Now we have come to the oldest church on Kizhi Island, the Church of the Resurrection of Lazarus. It is mentioned in the census book of 1629. It says the building was built around the end of the 14th century on the site of the death of the righteous Lazarus. The wonders of Kizhi Island are inimitable and have no equivalents in the world. The attractions include not only wooden buildings, but also numerous household items of the ancient Karela, icons, historical records, folklore, collections, and of course, the very nature